what we need you to do is munonyora apo. I will get the question, then I can always give you feedback on the question, or I can direct it to the panelists and answer the question. Makomrades kudhara tichakura taitirwa ngano dzanatsuro nagudo vachinzi gudo akaita tsuro akaita pati ndomba azodaidza gudo, gudo ndomba azotadza kusvikako because akanga asviba. Now iko zvinezvi kuti titaure nyaya dzanatsuro nagudo zvinotinetsa because ndisi tatova natsuro nanagudo vacho. Saka kana tida kutongotaura nyaya takutongotaurira naye tiri pachedu kuti ninga akadai ninga akazodai because ndisi vanhu vacho. So nyaya dzatichange tichitaura panapa hatitaure nyaya dzepawhatsapp, hatitaure nyaya dzekurota, hatitaure nyaya dzekufungidzira, tinotaura nyaya dziri kuitika mukati meupenyu. So this is what I'm asking you to do. Ndeyekuti izvo let's be mature patinenge takagara. Munhu wese unogona kufungidzira kuti munhu ari kutamba asi kutamba. Why? Pamusana pekuti ritori dambudziko rake. Saka the fact that this is situation haisi kuapply kwauri does not mean it is not applying to everyone else. Saka we need to respect each other, we need to respect each other's feelings so that we can proceed. Mwari akuitirei zvakanaka. Handisida kuwaste time panapa. Doc Machando, are you here? Please respond. And Pastor Mulambo, Munya, evidence, did you unmute these guys? Hello. It's unfortunate ndiri kushaya vamwe vangu panapa. Saka by the end of the day handisi kuziva kuti izvo vaendeswa kupi panapa. Saka ndipewo mukana wekuti nditsvage vamwe vangu tiwanane. Hello, Pastor Mulambo, are you here? Deborah Machando and Munya Mtema.
Hello.
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 Yes, hello. How are you?
I'm all right, Pastor. How are you? Right, Pastor Mlambo. Welcome to the meeting. I hope you are well, and I hope everyone else are kunzwa Pastor Mlambo varipo. Pastor Mlambo.
Yes, how are you? I'm here.
Indeed, right, Pastor Mlambo ka zvandoda kuita panapa ndezvekuda izvi. Tine nyaya dziri panapa dziri kutivhiringa. Datinokumbira kuti dei tingawane maanza nekukasika. So by the end of the day, ndokumbira kuti mungatipowo mhinduro. Ndeyekuti chinhu chekutanga panapa, Pastor Mlambo. Zvinogona kuitika here kuti vanhu vari murelationship, you can see that this is bound for a heartbreak. And if you can see that this is bound for a heartbreak, is there anything that you can do so as you safeguard yourself against a heartbreak?
Yes, thank you so much, Elder. I'm inquiring. Yes, unmute. Yes, I wanted to say kuti kana muri mu relationship mune ma danger warning signs akawanda anoshuwa kuti zvinhu hazvisi kufamba zvakanaka. Though sometimes we just push and press nyangwe zvinhu zvisiri kuita. So kana danger warning signs iwawo aripo elder, I have a feeling yekuti it's better sometimes to stop usati waenda kunoita head on.
Thank you very much, Pastor. And by the end of the day, vanhu vazhinji vanofunga, Pastor, kuti izvo kana uri murelationship yakafanana nekuti watotanga rwendo rusina reverse. Kana zvinhu zvichinetsa zvinofanirwa kuramba zvichikanikwa zvichienda. What do you say?
Yeah, inini hangu personally, I think kuti kana zvinhu zvisiri kuita because vanhu vane feeling yekuti kana mapinda murelationship zvinhu zvinenge zvaanani, munenge maapadhuze naMwari, zvese zvinenge zvaarosy. Kana aya danger warning signs mamwe acho ari critical, ari very serious ekuti munogona kuzoita serious challenges kana maa murelationship. Personally, I feel sezvandataura kuti mukomana musikana ukaona zvisiri kuita siyana nazvo, move on, life goes on.
Tinofunga tese tiri panapa, vanhu vazhinji panapa makaudzwa theory yekuti izvo hakuna munhu ari perfect. Makaudzwa theory yekuti izvo kana uchidanana nemunhu unofanirwa kumugadzira kuti ugoproducer chinhu chaunoda. And by the end of the day, panapa Pastor Mulambo, a man who has been dealing with young people, a marriage counselor, a professional panyaya dzecounseling, ari kutitaurira kuti izvo kana muchidanana zviroti maroorana. So by the end of the day, haugone kunochuna radio yemusitoro kuti iplay dzaunoda nekuti izvo haisati yako. Saka iwewe kana uchida kuti uzvisave from a heartbreak, the best thing that you need to do is to see the danger warning signs. Kana waona danger warning sign, woziva kuti kune nzou hakuendwa. Chinoitika ndechoti nyange ukatsinzinya kwadziri nzou idzodzo dzichakuruma chete, ende kana dzichinge dzazokuruma, hongu hatiregedze kuzomira kuisa mabandage, asi by the end of the day the damage will be done. Let me come back to you, Pastor Mulambo. Now that taziva kuti izvo munhu panogona kuita danger warning sign aripo, munogona kundipa here maexamples emamwe danger warning signs ekuti munhu angaone kuti azive kuti chinhu changu ichi hapana kwachiri kuinda? It looks like I've lost Pastor Mulambo there. Ishiri panapa ndeyekuti vapana mibvunzo, kana une mubvunzo unobva wanyora panapa, ini ndinenge ndakatarisa, ndinenge ndichiiona. Ane relationship iri kukamina ngaikamina hayo, kana uda kutenga macrutch, kana uchifunga kuti gomba rakatyoka rinoda plaster isa plaster, asi chandoda kukudza ndechekuti manje munhu uchapedzisira wamubereka, ende kana akukuremera achakunetsa kuisa pasi. Pamusana pekuti izvo ukajaidza benzi kuri pasupu, usafunga kuti mangwana makuseni unorudza kuti hapana supu rinokudira mbambo. So issue iri panapa ndiyo yekuti izvo zvinhu ndezvako, upenyu ndehwako, kuronga ndekwako. Iwewe unoita zvinhu zvinoenderana newe, uchiziva kuti ramangwana rinogona kukunetsa kana ukatamba zvisiri izvo. Handizivi kuti Pastor Mulambo mauya here? And Doc, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Pastor Mulambo. Ndoda kubvunza kuti izvo Pastor Mulambo, chii chingaonekwe nemunhu mukomana ari murelationship, musikana ari murelationship, chingaita kuti azive kuti bhazi iri harisvike number 1? And how can you tell kuti izvo yandama iri manje is a heartbreak?
All right. Mukomana nemusikana kana vachidanana, especially ivo vari mubox, vane zvinhu zvakawanda zvavanoona. Zvimwe zvacho wedding chaiyo, even nemaitiro eumwe wako anogona kunyatsobudisa pachena kuti hakuna kwamuri kuenda. For example, mukomana anogona kuti ndiri kuenda kumabhuku, pamuomuona ari mukombi yekudz, tarisai kune mabhuku, onai kune dz. But sometimes we tend to ignore warning signs itoto. Pamwe pacho ndingangotaura wedding yekunyeba iyoyo, misrepresentation. Pamwe pacho unogona kutomuona ane umwe mukomana kana musikana, wega unyatsoona kuti relationship iyi kai iri kunyatsoratidza kuti hakuna kwairi kuenda. Saka pane zvinhu zvakawanda elda zvinobva matauriro emunhu, even maitiro ake, zvinopointa kuti relationship hakuna kwairi kuenda. Amenti wechipiri mamabvunza kuti kudii?
Wechipiri ndabvunza kuti izvo ivo vanhu vari kuita zvinhu zvavavo, kana kuchida anoziva sei kuti izvo iyi yandatomairi manje iyi ndatomusupu ndatomuheartbreak inogona kuleader into depression.
Yes, regai ndidzokorodze futi again nditi vakuru vanoti kuziva benzi kuswera naro. Courtship I think inguva yakareba yekuti Mwari anogona kushowa zvinhu zvakawandisisa chaizvo. Kana pane rudo, sometimes rudo haruna introduction, haribvunzwe, zvega zvinoflowa zvega. Munoziva kana muchidanana ukafonera munhu munyazoona kuti vakomana nyaya dziri kutapira dziri kuflowa. But koita pamwe pekuti uri kumanikidza relationship, motombonzwa tuma waves pafoni tunyatsoratidza kuti kumanaga hakuna kwatiri kumboenda. Saka pamwe pacho elder unogona kuona especially communication, because in a relationship chinonzi communication chiri very key. Haachakwanise kutaura newe sekumbotaura kwaaita, angori busy chakati unogona kunyora paragraph paWhatsApp iye anongopindura pamwe nekasign. Zvega zvinokuratidza in and out kuti you are heading for disaster. Saka imwe way yekuzvirapa iwewe sezvandambotaura pekutanga ndeyekukurumidza kuita close kustopa relationship iyoyo.
I hope everyone else can hear for himself or for herself. Ukaona wakubvunza kuti bhazi randiri riri kufamba here kana kuti rakamira, dambudziko harizi rebhazi, dambudziko nderako. Because anyone can tell whether this thing is moving kana kuti chisiri kufamba. Unfortunately, most of us tinenge tiri mudenial, and we will remain in denial until these issues overtake us. When these things have overtaken us, then tozotanga kuchema, tatowira muproblem, tatomusupu isingaite. So by the end of the day, young people, this is the advice that is coming. Kana, I repeat, if you have a problem, you must admit I have a problem. And should you admit that you have a problem, you can be helped. But if you do not admit that you have a problem, nobody is going to help you. Thank you very much, Pastor. Munya, are you there? Elder Mtema?
Sure, I can hear you.
Elder Mtema, what usually causes my heartbreak? Because it looks like we have a lot of heartbreaks here, and the people vanopinda mumascenario asiriyo. What normally causes heartbreaks, and what are the danger warning signs according to you?
Right, thank you. There's been a request to mix Shona and English to accommodate some Ndeveles and some non-Shonas who are on this. So allow me to do that. Heartbreak anokonzerwa nezvinhu zvakawanda, but one of the chief factors that causes my heartbreaks is not doing your homework before you get into a relationship. So vanhu vakawanda, we quickly jump into relationships without spending much time, without doing our homework. Ideally, before she says yes, before he proposes, it is prudent for both parties to do their homework, to ask those that are close to the proposed business partner, and find out. It might be a church if you are from Budiriro and she's from Borodale. It is wiser, it is advisable to try to find out from those that are around Borodale also, vanomoona, be it every day or every week, or those that work with them. It is very prudent and it is advisable to do some little bit of homework before you get into a relationship. Izvinobatsira kuti wama relationship, you won't have surprises. Wama relationships, you'll be knowing wakaita ma background checks of your person. That's number one. So many heartbreaks are caused because my homeworks anenge asina kuitwa. Number two, it was also discovered kuti chimwe chinokonzera ma heartbreaks kuramba reality, kuti munenge mutori mu relationship, reality yanoka, but unenge uchiramba kuti zvinhu zviri kufaya when things are not moving, failing to accept reality that things are not going on, when in actual fact the things are really, really bad. To most of us who are Christians, when we have a relationship with God, just to add on to what Pastor Mlambo alluded to, kana tine relationship na Mwari, Mwari asiye vana vake vachipinda into serious heartbreaks asina kupa warning signs. The only challenge is many a times when those warning signs come, when the robots are ticking red, we fail to accept reality. Mwari anotipa ma signs ekuti this is not going in the right direction. But many youths, they decide to ignore those warning shots, and they decide not to face reality. No, panapa, ndrukutochitwa panapa. Many young ladies, they don't want to face that reality. No, wangu achite, wangu ndewe kuchechi. I recently met one young lady who was facing a serious heartbreak, and she failed to accept reality because the guy had broken her virginity. So she was saying, no. Mchinda and Akam, I gave him myself, and it's impossible for him to say no now. Nekuti, he's the one who broke my virginity. So she spent almost 6 months in that denial. But it's impossible. But it had already happened. The guy was cheating, and the guy didn't even deny that I'm cheating, but she was denying. So allow me to stop here. Number one, let's do our homework. When homework is not done, it is almost inevitable to have a heartbreak. Number two, let's face reality in our relationships. When God shows us that things are going to the north, let us accept that reality. We are going to the south or east, but reality, we are going to the north. Yellow Elder. Ramachand. I'm not sure if I'm still audible, or I'm not sure if Ramachand is speaking.
Okay, Elder is joining us shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, Elder is joining us shortly, so you can proceed with your comments until Elder is in.
Thank you. So want to thank Dr. Machando. She has also joined in, and Pastor Mlambo, I see him also online. Dr. Machando, the question is on what causes heartbreaks and how best can we see them coming. So if you also have anything to contribute, just contribute. I'm sure you are unmuted. So I just touched on two aspects. What causes heartbreaks? And I'll repeat. Number one, inyaya kuti tinenge tisina kuita homework. So when homework is not done, we are going to find out things that that we never thought in the relationships. Number two, when we fail to face reality, it also happens. Then number three, we have about seven things that causes heartbreak. So I'll move on to number three as we are waiting for Vamachando to be back online. Number three, inyaya communication. Not being able to open up. I'll give an example that we find in the Bible. I was going to use this example later, but allow me just to mention from in the Bible, Matthew chapter 1, it gives us a relationship yangairi pakati pa Joseph na Mary. So Joseph and Mary, they were courting, and when they were courting, just when they got married, before he had slept with Mary, Joseph realized that Mary was pregnant. So Mary was pregnant. Joseph had never touched Mary, and Joseph was heartbroken. He was seriously heartbroken. And what caused that heartbreak was communication breakdown. Joseph could have asked Mary, how come you are pregnant? But Joseph saw what he saw. He didn't sit down and discuss that with Mary. Joseph was seriously heartbroken, and Joseph decided to pull off from the relationship because he was heartbroken. So he decided to pull off from that relationship. But in the first place, was Joseph supposed to be heartbroken? No. What was Joseph supposed to do? He was supposed to open up to communicate to Mary. To Mary, Shangwari, Ndaona were pregnant. Let's discuss this, what transpired. And I'm sure Mary was going to explain everything to Joseph. So number 3, what are some of the factors that causes heartbreaks? It is communication breakdown. The story of Mary and Joseph also leads us to number 4. Another factor, Emma, heartbreaks, it is trust. When trust is broken, when 2 parties are now mistrusting each other. All right, sweets don't cause heartbreaks. It's okay. So when Joseph mistrusted Mary, there was heartbreak between Joseph and Mary. So number 3, communication. When communication is not done properly, heartbreaks are almost inevitable. When trust, number 4, is lost, that can also cause heartbreaks. So number 1, just to emphasize, number 1, when homework is not done, it's almost inevitable to have heartbreaks. Number 2, when any of the 2 parties, by that I mean the boyfriend or the girlfriend, is not accepting reality, that can also lead to a heartbreak. Number 3, the issue of communication. When the 2 parties don't have 360, I call it 360 degrees communication, when they don't have transparency, the life of a Christian should be as clear as the sunlight. But when one of the 2 parties is not being transparent, when there is no proper communication, that can lead to a heartbreak. And number 4, when there are issues of trust, that can also lead to a heartbreak. I don't know if Pastor Mlambo have anything to add, or Dr. Machando has something to add. I'm not sure if Machando is now back online.
I can just add that when people get into relationships, they invest. They invest, they give their love, they give their trust, they give their everything, and rightfully so. And when someone lets you down, then that's heartbreaking. So in this light, it's important to not let me not get to the solutions, but yeah. So it's investment, and sometimes even over investment. And it may be hard to accept reality, because I had invested so much and I had trusted, and it's very hard now to pick up your pieces and go back and move on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Margaret. Thank you so much, Doc. So the issue of over-investing, let's remember, guys, that courtship, it's not marriage. So in as much as we are supposed to put our feelings, just like what Dr. Machando just alluded to, in as much as we are supposed to invest our feelings, but we need wisdom not to over-invest our feelings into our proposed business partners. They are not yet business partners. During this stage, we want to see whether God is approving of this relationship. And once God approves, we then get into marriage. So thank you, Doc. We should invest our feelings into our proposed partners, but we should avoid over-investing, because when anything then happens, that is also a cause of serious heartbreaks.
Hi, host. Sorry to break in. There are people in the waiting room. indicating they're still waiting to get in.
All right, thank you.
Hello?
Thank you for that. I'm sure the host to take care of that. Yes, Pastor?
Yes, I wanted to say kuvakomana nevasikana dzimba dzese dzatiri kuona idzi vakapirenza heartbreak. It's something that is hello. Hello.
You can go on, Pastor.
Yes, I wanted to say kuvakomana nevasikana chinhu chinonzi heartbreak chiri common kwatiri human beings. Dzimba dzese dzatiri kuona idzi, whether vana baba vanana mai vakaexperience heartbreak. So hapana chitsva pasi pezuva, but what matters is the way we react maybe after experiencing heartbreak, whatever. Then pane point yamatitaura nepoint yataurwa naDr. Machando that I want to emphasize. I think pane munyori wandofarira anonzi Ellen White mubhuku rinonzi Advent yaye mucourtship yekuti anything can happen. So what I've noticed kuvakomana nevasikana, relationship yavo sometimes sezvamataura doctor vanoinvesta a lot sekunge vakarorana. Handiti muri kuona sekunge vakarorana, sekuti you see kuti maybe mukomana akurumidza kuenda kuchechi, agara kumberi kuno vanhu vakati wandei, musikana wada kutoitawo find a way, anogarawo kumberi, they are always together, mabirthday whatever anoiswa vastatus this and that. Such that kana something chikaitika zvinonetsa kufesa reality. Saka kana muri mukomana nemusikana, just give an allowance kuti anything can happen. Anything can happen. Hamusati marorana. If nyange vanhu vari married, madivorce ari kuitawo sezvekare ari kuwanda. Ndodzokera pane imwe point yandambotaura hangu in passing. God is so faithful vakomana nevasikana. Sometimes ndombojoka hangu ndichiti chinonzi heartbreak chiriko here kana kuti hakuna. Mwari mumamanzi maweeks amunodanana nawo, he is faithful kukupointira tunhu twakati one day. Vamutema mataura, sometimes we ignore Mwari zvaari kutaura nesu. Mwari anotaura nesu nenzira yakawanda chaizvo, but tinoona chingoti no zvinoita chete zvinoita. Then chinozonzi heartbreak ingori manifestation yezvinhu zvanga zviri kuitika before nemadanger warning signs andambenge ndambotaura nawo nezvavo Mwari achipointira kwaari.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor, for that. Thank you so much. So on that note, may we work on our relationship with God, so that when God speaks, and remember, tine nzira dzakasiyana siyana that God speaks to us. God speaks to us through His Word. God speaks to us through nature. God speaks to us through providence. God speaks to us through circumstances and life situations. So let's build our relationship with God. You know, I know one young lady who was asked out by someone close to me, and she said, I can't say yes to you now because I still need to have a deep relationship with God, so that when things are not working out in our relationship, God will speak to me. That was her response. This had done a strong relationship with God, so that if anything happens, God will speak to me. So let's build our relationships with God, so that God can speak to us and we can hear as we are in relationships. I'm not sure if Elder Machando is now back online.
Yeah, let's proceed. He is trying to join. When he is online, I will let you know.
Okay, then so we'll move on. We'll move on to the indications. Doc Machando, before you got in, a question was asked by Machando. What are some of the signs that we can see that a heartbreak is on its way. Pastor Mlambo had partially responded to that. I'm sure you as a woman, you can also respond to that. So as you are preparing for that, Dr. Machando, allow me to say it is also possible not to see a heartbreak. It's very possible to see, as you are going to hear from Dr. Machando, but the other side, the other flip side of the coin, it is also possible not to see a heartbreak. I'll keep on referring to the case study, Irikuna Matthew chapter 1, Joseph na Mary. We find this in Matthew chapter 1 from verse 19, verse 19 and 20. The Bible tells us that Mary was pregnant, and Joseph figured it out that Mary was pregnant before he had slept with her. So that was a sudden heartbreak. Yangai Sinama signs, there was no way that there could have been signs. Mary was just a beautiful, young, innocent lady. She never cheated. There was no way that she could cheat, but it just happened. So it is also possible that a heartbreak can be there without any sign. It is there. Sometimes God allows it for best reasons known to him. Remember, Romans 8:28 tells us that all things work together for good for God's children. So God can also allow that. Could you are a very good guy, you are in a relationship, and a heartbreak happens without any signs. As Christians, we believe God allows all things to happen for good for God's children. Doc, would you want to respond to the question that was asked on the signs of a heartbreak?
So I'm not clear whether we are referring to the signs of a heartbreak or we are referring to the signs of a relationship ending, because those two are different. A relationship can end, and maybe some people can actually be relieved that it's over.
Oh, nice one. I guess you can respond to both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So signs that a relationship is about to end, maybe poor communication, or it could be maybe you've caught some things, cheating messages. Those are the things that we find that are common when people find out that a person is now, like slipping out of the relationship or has cheated. Or maybe someone can actually become less available. Busy, those are telltale signs that a relationship is no longer going well. And now about the heartbreak. What are the signs that a heart is going to break? I guess what I'm responding to is how do we know when someone is not going to be able to cope? As we mentioned earlier, there are some people who are over-invested. A lot of people don't quite understand, they don't appreciate that courtship is a trial. And if it doesn't work out, you know how we get free trials online. Try this for 30 days. If you are happy, then you commit. If you are not, then you let go. So some people, when they get into relationships, they, as Pastor said, act as if they are married. I really get worried when I see people posting too detailed information about their relationships. Guys, if people who have been married for 45 years get divorced, co-relationship in 3 or 4 months or even weeks. So we really need to be cautious on what we post about ourselves, about our relationships. You want to think of the bigger picture. If you get out of that relationship, are you going to be able to get into another one after everything that you've posted about yourself and about that relationship? So people who are over-invested, people who have nothing else to do, they are like, that relationship is their life. Obviously, if you have made a relationship a project or your life, if then the relationship ends, you are likely to get a serious heartbreak and you will not be able to have a life after that. So I think just scratching, those are some of the symptoms. This is similar to what happens at a funeral. Do you know kuti pane imwe nhamo yekuti mukasvika munotochema munhu afirwa kushaya kuti zvinova chaita sei mai ava nevana, because she's not capable to run her own life. Asi munhu akafirwa ari munhu ari capable, who is in control of her life, tinongochemawo kurwadziwa neafa, but we know this person can pick up her pieces and move on. But in some cases we actually mourn the widow because toza kuti mai ava havana, she has no other life. She was solely dependent upon the person who has gone. So it's similar even in relationships. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Doc, for that. Thank you so much for that. So we are seeing something that keeps coming. Nyaye kuita over invest our feelings. A relationship is not marriage. Let's not over invest our all. Ladies usually they give all their life in a relationship. A relationship is not a marriage. Allow me also to mention the issue yema long-term contracts. People, they spend 10, 15 years still courting. Remember, friends, a courtship, you just want to find out. You have been doing your homework. You have done all humanly possible homework. You have asked your trusted one writer by the name Ellen White says, when you are when you are thinking of a relationship, ask, if you are blessed with God-fearing parents, ask them, what do you think about X? What do you think about Y? What do you think about Z? Before you get into the relationship, find someone who you trust, someone mature, that you can ask, someone who you know has your interest at heart, that you can ask what they think about what they think about the person. So as you do this homework, when you then get into the relationship, all you just want is to say, I now want to confirm that this person is the right one. So that period should not be a very long period. We have seen some people courting for 10 years, for 15 years, and it is during that period, that process, that the over-investing happens. So one of the reasons also, one of the factors, heartbreaks, these are long courtship periods where people, they sezvataurwa napastor kuti vanenge vakuita zvese, all the benefits of a married couple vanawo in public or in privacy. Like what Doc was saying, all the detailed information is put on statuses, on everything that can be put. That over in investing then takes place because the period is quite long. So wherever possible, let's try to limit that. One day we'll discuss why people have these long courtship periods. It's not ideal. It's not good spiritually, socially, mentally, biologically, economically. It's not good long courtships. They have a high percentage of causing heartbreaks when people have been in relationships for long. I'm not sure if Machando is there before we continue. Anything else, Pastor and Doc, on the issue of what causes heartbreaks?
We can move on.
Okay, anything from you, Pastor? Okay, so there was a question that was asked. If Pastor is not there, Doc, I would ask you to respond to this. There was a question that was asked, Yekuti, how can one protect?
Hello?
Thank you, Pastor. So this question I'll direct to you, then Doc can respond before we quickly move on to the issue of depressions. Yangairi nyaye kuti, if I have suffered my heartbreaks, how can I protect myself from successive heartbreaks? There's a young lady who had asked, kuti, the 2 or 3 heartbreaks. How can I protect myself? It looks like heartbreaks. How can I protect myself from successive heartbreaks? If you can quickly attend to that, then Doc, if you can also add.
It's okay. I wanted to say, Elder Munyang, according to the Bible, it's not like the half plus half equals to 1. It's 1 plus 1 equals to 1. So which means mukomana panopinda relationship one whole number, musikana also one whole number. Saka problem imwe inoitika inyaya yedesperation yekufungidzira kuti no, I'm not complete. I think ndianoita kuti ndive complete, though zviri zvechokwadi in a sense. But iwewe uri munhu ari complete, self-esteem sometimes nemwe challenge inoitika. Meti vakomana nevasikana maiziva here kuti muri murelationship, one akangoziva bedzi kuti desperate yagona anokushandisa sechikorobho to an extent yekuti whoever wadanana naye unofanira kumuudza kuti neniwo ndakakosha, am important, ndakasikwa naMwari nemufananidzo wake. Saka imwe issue inoitika pamubvunzo wamabvunzo uyo ndiwedzera ndeyekuti kunopinda kune imwe relationship ndo panowanzoitika marebound, maybe pamwe tida kushowa x kuti ndogona kudiwa or ndinodika whatever. Sometimes we need time to refresh, to relax, then tofunga todzokera back kune mapoints amataura aya, totanga kucheka kuti ndiri kumbodei pamukomana, akamira sei, status yake, maprinciples ake akamira sei, so that we don't rush kupinda murelationship yekuti tinoita another problem yeimwe heartbreak. Again, take your time, relax, and values our kuda pamukomana pamusikana.
Thank you, Pastor. Before I read a question under depression directed to Doc, do you have something to add on to that, Dr. Machando?
So our youth and even so generally people need to appreciate their value. The word that Pastor used there is self-esteem, knowing what your value is. You know, if someone has let you down, you want to know that you do not need that person for you to live. You've got your own life. You can pick up your pieces, dust yourself up and move on. And you can only do that if you've got a hard core of self-esteem, knowing what your true value is. It's like going for an interview and those people refuse to take you in. If you know your real value, you should feel sorry for the organization. Kuti shame, they've lost an amazing employee, assuming that you know what your value is, what your worth is. The challenge is that if you don't know and you overinvested, you feel like you've been cheated, you've been let down, and you feel like a rag, and you feel that you are not complete for you to be able to move on. So you need then to step back and deal with your emotions, deal with your esteem, dust yourself up, clean yourself up so that you don't rebound into the wrong person or getting into a relationship for all the wrong reasons. Some people get into relationships wanting to show off. Shame. You only live once, and that one person is just one person out of billions of people in the world. So you really can't be living your life to straighten someone up. You need to live your own life. So you need to heal first, then you can move on when you are emotionally healthy.
Thank you so much, Doc, for that. The issue of picking your broken pieces and moving on, realizing that you are still worth. Christ died for you. Your value does not change because of what happened yesterday. Allow me. There's a question that just came. So we'll switch between depression and heartbreaks for the sake of our time. There's a question that got in directed to, I want to direct this to Dr. Machando, concerning depression. Yeah, irkuti chinombwanzi depression chacho chi, and what really causes depression, my relationship lead to heartbreaks. So, Doc, I just want you to touch a little bit on depression, because these things are very much related, heartbreaks and depression.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me start by saying there are a lot of misconceptions concerning this word depression, stress, and anxiety. Sometimes you'll find that a young boy comes back from school and he opens the fridge and he says, oh, I'm so depressed, there's no juice in the house. Depression is actually a mental health condition. It's a mental health disorder. It's a condition, and there is a diagnostic criteria, like what do we need to see for us to then say this person has depression. So I will give you the symptoms, and these symptoms have to be there for at least 2 weeks. So you don't get a negative life event, maybe heartbreak, and then you say after 3-4 days, I'm depressed. You need to go through these symptoms. I'm just going to run down some of the common symptoms of depression. So it includes feelings of deep sadness and problems or inability to experience pleasure. So you'll find that you no longer get interested in the things that you usually enjoyed, whether it be going out with friends, church, soccer, or games, whatever. When you are depressed, you suddenly don't feel like doing those things, and your sleep is disturbed. Either you're sleeping too much or you are losing sleep. Your appetite is also disturbed. You'll notice that some people actually have weight changes, either weight gain because you are eating too much comfort eating, or weight loss because you are losing appetite because of that. So about 5% of loss of weight within a month because you are disturbed by that. It's also characterized by deep thinking. That's why in Shona, the words are kufunganya, kufungisisa, because your mind is usually just, crowded with a lot of thoughts. We call it rumination because you're thinking and thinking and thinking, but this is not helpful thinking that gives you solutions. It's just deep thinking, going back and forth, poor concentration. So you'll find that you may be in the presence of people, something is going on, but your mind is wandering off. In some people, they actually get slowed down. Speech is slowed, and even movement is slowed. So that's those are some of the symptoms of depression. So this is just general depression, and these symptoms have been there for at least 2 weeks. How do we relate this with heartbreaks? Usually when a person is disappointed, you are bound to feel sad. And if you don't resolve this appropriately, the future is still bright, I can pick up my pieces, I can move on. Remember, heartbreak is not only about someone saying no, it can also be you deciding to let go of a relationship. Maybe you've seen the telltale signs that pastor said, and you make a decision, no, let me let this person go. It's still heartbreaking because you loved this person, you valued them. If people don't resolve these things well, coming to terms with what has happened and looking to the future, you will find that the person then becomes depressed. Usually, there are some common symptoms of depression that come. These include feelings of worthlessness, feelings of hopelessness, and a sense of being helpless, feeling like I can't, I'm not in control of my situation, I can't manage it. So those are some of the things that happen. If it's not resolved again, if it continues or it's so severe, guess what? It can actually deteriorate into severe depression, where because of a sense of worthlessness, a sense of helplessness and hopelessness, a person can then start having suicide ideation, thoughts that they would be better off dead. So usually, you notice that a lot of people who commit suicide, 10 to 15% of them were suffering from depression. And maybe people didn't pick it up, but suicide ideation or even suicide attempt is closely, it's one of the symptoms of severe depression. That's why we are really happy that these questions are coming up and we can tackle this, because depression or mental health issues are actually a life and death issue. A person can die because of a heartbreak if they don't handle it well. If it becomes severe, in addition to either suicide, a person can actually lose it when they start experiencing things that are out of touch with reality. Maybe beginning to have auditory hallucinations, kunzwa ma voice. Interestingly, my voice depression, my auditory hallucinations are consistent with the mood. So you might hear voices, maybe people were laughing at you, people saying how you are, but this person will never amount to anything. So these are the common symptoms that we find about people who experience heartbreaks or even seeing things. So that's how bad a heartbreak can actually trigger a mental illness like depression. But remember, this also is happening in an environment. There is a lot of other things that are going on, but in short, that mental health condition, it's a clinical condition. Over to you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. Still on that, a related question before I ask Pastor. We are running out of time. Before I ask Pastor, a related question is saying, how can I treat myself from depression if one has a heartbreak, she's depressed, or he is depressed? How can he or she treat her or himself for depression?
Thank you very much.
What happens then when that treatment is not done? When we ignore that? Yeah.
Thank you very much. So let me say, it's not every heartbreak that causes a person to be depressed. Usually people can bounce back, you feel sad, you cry, and you can get over it, okay? But if a person fails to get to terms with it and they slip into depression and they've got those symptoms that I mentioned, it's now a clinical condition. It's like maybe your heart has broken, you've experienced a heartbreak. We would take it as if you've broken a leg. So what do you do with a broken leg? How do you treat yourself if your leg is broken? We don't treat ourselves when legs break. So we should take heartbreaks seriously. I know that a lot of people think depression is a condition for the whites, but no, it's not. We've actually handled quite a number of suicide attempts, and we don't know how many suicides have been completed that we have not been referred because the person has already died. I'm quite sure you guys have come across a lot of people killing themselves. At that time, it feels like it is the right thing to do. You also want to know that when someone is depressed, their thinking changes. So depression actually causes cognitive distortions. It disturbs your thinking patterns. So if a person is in that depressive mode, they think that withdrawing, not talking to people, locking themselves, refusing to eat is a solution, but it's not. So that person needs proper therapy or even medication sometimes, especially if you've become psychotic, if you are beginning to see things or hear things, or even becoming suspicious. That's one of the common symptoms. You will notice that people become suspicious of everyone. Yeah, suspicious, you know, maybe the theme might be running around relationships. Maybe you begin to suspect your friends, you begin to suspect that everybody hates you, everyone is plotting things around you. I want to highlight that my symptoms atinoita around mental health. You notice kuti chembere kubinga ikaita depressed, ainetseki nezveZoom link, nezvedata nezvei, anotaura things around what they are going through in their lives, kubinga ikokoko. And so even in relationships, when someone has a heartbreak and become depressed, they usually talk about things that are in their circumstances. So they become suspicious, they become paranoid. Say, maybe you're with someone else. Why are you doing this? Why are you, their thinking becomes disturbed. So if this is not properly treated, we've seen people committing suicide, we've seen people withdrawing, we've seen people actually losing it, going onto the streets, picking food from the bin, just from what seems to be simple things like heartbreaks. So what then should we do? We must make sure that we pay attention to our friends and those people around us, even being careful in how we break this news. You need to be aware of your partner's temperaments. Unofana kuziya munhu wako. auchangokanda mashoko kana dzimwe heartbreak dzinoitika, it's not so much munhu asiyana nemukomana, but it's in how it's done. Some people are not honest. They will not tell the truth that they are falling out of love, or maybe they are now getting involved with someone else. They'll cook up stories to blame the other person, to make the other person feel bad, to make the person feel guilty. Kana kuti they'll actually go with someone else without disclosing to the other person. It's also in the nature of how these issues are disclosed that might cause a person to be heartbroken and to lose it. Maybe someone going out with your friend or with your sister, or posting intimate pictures on social media. When you were posting, pictures about that person, then the world discovers that you guys are no longer going out together. So I would say those are some of the things that happen. And if depression, I need to let you know this. I find that a lot of clients are reluctant to go through the proper treatment for depression. So what we do when a person comes, whether it's depression from a heartbreak, or it's depression from trauma, maybe abuse or bereavement after losing a loved one or anything, we will take your emotional temperature. There are psychological tools that are there to assess your level of depression. So I find that a lot of people think, and I've gone through these situations are not the same. So you cannot say, how can I treat myself? Because what we need to do is to figure out what level of depression you are on, and also what your background is, coping mechanisms, supporting systems, even your spiritual faith may not be strong enough for you to be able to deal with some of these things, and you need extra support. So we take emotional temperature, we do psychological assessments to find out your level of depression. And there's mild, moderate, and severe depression. If it's severe, we then give recommendations. Maybe you need to speak to the pastor, or maybe you need to speak to a professional counselor, or maybe now you need treatment because maybe you have been depressed either for a long time, or the depression level is very high, that it has changed chemical balances in your body, like your hormones, your neurotransmitters, and you need medication to balance those things. Guess what? Some depression may actually be biological, and then combined with the heartbreak, you then, all those things add together and you become overwhelmed. So the point I wanted to highlight is, for severe depression, for example, where you see a person withdrawing with suicide ideation, or even attempting, if it's not properly treated, there are 50% chances that if anything happens, you are likely to be depressed again. So depression is likely to recur. And if on the second episode, you don't get proper treatment again, there are 90% chances that depression is likely to recur, because your level, the threshold, the strength with which you're able to bounce back and get over the depression become lower and lower with each and every episode. So like a broken leg, we need to take heartbreaks seriously and get proper help. Okay, I think let me then see if there are other questions.
Thank you so much, Doc. That was loud and clear. Thank you so much. And a further point, of the many points that you highlighted, I'm thinking many of our youths are depressed because nyaya yekuva suspicious. 95% of our relationships, people are so suspicious. And then afona arikudei for WhatsApp unan. And thank you for highlighting that. It might be a sign of being depressed. I see many people smiling where they are. Depressed. So suspicious. Thank you so much, Doc, for that. To Pastor Mlambo, there is a question. Before I come back to you, Doc, there's a question, Pastor Mlambo. Is there any benefit of a heartbreak? Is there any way of seeing heartbreaks on a positive side? Can a heartbreak ichinge itika? I'm hoping you're still online, Pastor. So as Pastor is responding in a minute, Doc. Oh, thank you, Pastor. Pastor, the question is: Is there any positive effect of a heartbreak? Can I look for heartbreak with an optimistic eye?
Yes, hello.
You can go on,
Thank you so much. I wanted to say, Elder Mtema, yes, I'm hearing you. Hello?
You can go on, Pastor. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to say, kuti nyangwe mu Garden of Eden, Adam paakaona Eva nefruit, akaziva kuti mai vatadza. But I want to believe kuti dai Adam asina kutora that fruit, Mwari aigona kumupa umwe mudzimai anga ari nani. But normally I've seen kuti chinoitika marelationship tinekame kapfungwa kekuti handiye ega, handifungoti ndichazowana umwe akadaro. Panyaya yeoptimism yamuri kutaura, I think paacronym yedu yecelebration neword inonzi optimism, just kungova nefaith yekungoti across the bridge, zvatadza this side, but across the bridge Mwari anonzwa minamato nekupindura. Sometimes I've seen kuno vamwe vanhu kuti vanobatsirikana sei mulife, just to joke about it, maybe arovera drum kuVID, just kungoita majoke kuti umanaka ndarowa drum nepakati, then people votoseka atozvihila, life goes on. Saka even warambwa naJimmy naSusan pamafriends ako paunotaura navo, sometimes just to laugh about it, zvinoita songe zviri simple, but itori way yauri kutozvihila iwewe munhu apinda muheartbreak depression, just to see the better side of life. Again, pane ma-positives akawanda anogona kuitika again kune munhu really help you. Then rambo ari muheartbreak or wasvike paissue.
Hello, Pastor.
Komanda vasikana munogona munhu anokupa, just forget about it, move on, life goes on. Then Elder, muri kundinzwa?
Yes, you can go on.
We can hear you.
Yes, I wanted to say also, zvinonzi masuicide akawanda muwinter kupfuura musama. Vari kuda kuongorora kuti reason why vakaona kuti sometimes muwinter vanhu vada kumhanya kuenda pambaura. Kana vari pambaura vachataura pana mai baba hanzvazviti, so kungokommunicata on its own iremedy. Saka musama, especially kune macountries anotonhora, munhu anouya time yaanoda, umwe anokura neclub, this and that. Saka you find kuti where are depressed, many a time anenge ari lonely. Saka imwe solution, just talk about it, laugh about it. Kana zvazonetsa hanzi uyo anoti ndinomira chenjera kuti unogona kuwira pasi, tsvaga munhu waunogona kutaura naye. Tiri Dr. Machando ataura eda pastor or counselor, garai pasi wodonongodza zvese. Pakungorudunura nyaya yako uchitaura kuna someone, uri kutozvirapa, you are healing yourself. Unoziva no matter zvinhu zvikaoma muBethlehem, just kungocross the other side, motoona kuti that's not the end of life. Life itori right, kuMoab kune food, vanhu vari kudya this and that. Kungoitora hangu iri metaphor yekuti zvinoita sekunge zvaguma, life yaguma, but kungocross the other side. Mwari ane zvimwe zvinhu zvakawanda zviri nani zvaari kuda kukupa mukomana musikana, but sometimes we are so much limited kufunga kuti handizombofi ndakawana umwe akadaro.
Thank you so much, Pastor. On that, there is a question that just came now. It's saying, how do we balance the point that God hates kurambana with the positive benefit you're explaining? Pastor, to no balance, say, fact that God hates kurambana with the positive benefit that you're explaining. Quite interesting question. Can you quickly respond to that, Pastor?
Hello?
Yes, Pastor.
Yes, Mfundisi.
Pastor, is still online?
Okay, while we wait for Pastor.
Yes,
so
go on,
it
Mike.
says it says God hates divorce, and divorce here refers to people who are married.
Thank you.
So if you are courting, it's not divorce, it's a breakup. And if things are not working well, and you see that it's best to break up, it is the best. And there are there are benefits. Imagine, some people think that getting married is a solution, but how many people have you seen getting divorced after 1 child, 2 children, 3 children, after a couple of years? So when you look at it, it's better to separate before you have strings attached, before you get committed, before you've changed your name, you've changed so many things. It's better to, to break up there than to rush or force marriage when things are not working out. Let me also, okay, yeah.
No, that's
Mfundisi, you can.
Yes.
Hello.
Go on, Pastor.
Yeah, I wanted to say, even after engagement, azvirambidzwe kuti hazvichaite problem ndekuda kungofosa zvinhu nezvisiri kuita. Remember, munhu wauchapedzisira kuona watenderera mutauni ndofese wachapedzisira kuona. The following morning ndofese waunotanga kuona. Saka take your time. This is your permanent roommate. Don't rush. Hanzi dzingizigonyera pamwe mari wenyika apere.
Yes, I want to add to what Pastor said earlier about sharing. So it's not every breakup that needs professional help. So we need to make sure that we've got people around there for us. One of the things that we encourage you to have is a close social network. You have people that you can open up to, and these have got to be people who are productive, people who are helpful, because there are some friends who actually will add, salt to your wound. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the right people. Kune vanhu vanofunga kuti break up is the end of the world. Let me start by those people who break other people's hearts. There are people who go about maybe having multiple relationships. Ellen White says it's trifling with hearts. It's a sin kutamba nemoyo yevamwe vanhu uchibreka my hearts. So it's not proper, it's not right to have multiple relationships because you are bound to. Kana ukatota vasikana too, it means one wacho achatobrekwa up naika. Then I'm just going to address quite a number of questions that I see popping on the charts and that we've been seeing as well. There's a question that keeps coming. Zvakanaka here, zvakaipa here kudanana nemunhu mukuru kwauri. Fact yekuti muri kuramba muchizvibvunza guys. Iwe kana uchitoene question mark, you want to imagine kuti question mark yaunayo iyi kana matozororana, it's going to be even bigger. Do you want to be going around explaining to people kuti mufunge inini I'm happy and ndangana basa ne-age? If it's a question, if you've got a question already, it means there is a problem there. And you don't want to, marriage is a lifelong commitment. You don't want to live your life explaining or maybe making a realization later in life, 2-3 years after marriage, you are now looking for a younger person. Make sure that when you get into the relationship, wakutongopinda usina mivunzo behind. For the people who feel that they have invested and they cannot leave, it's better I die. Someone was asking, my friend thinks, manje ndichazowanikwa nani? As Pastor says, I'm quite sure kuti Mugabe anga ari sekuru vedu, maybe tine tumajinzi twake. Akafa at 90 something. If you are 21 or 31 or 38 and you are going to live as old as Mugabe, it means you still have 60 plus more years to live. So why should you need to think of the bigger picture. kuti munhu akubreak a heart to you 5 years to come, will you still be worrying about the same person? 30 years to come, 60 years to come, and not to chain yourself to someone. Izvo zvinhu zvisiri kuita sei? Zvisiri kufamba. The other question said, is it possible for someone to start thinking things that are not there? As I mentioned, a person who is depressed, chimwe chinotokonzera kuti vanhu vave depressed, it's because they have got thinking patterns that are not right. Anonzi cognitive distortions kana kuti irrational thinking patterns. Ndo type yevanhu vekuti akapiwa drumstick anoti ini ndapiwa drumstick kureva kuti vamwe vese vatodya half chicken. You know, so there are some people with negative thoughts, and depression makes it worse. You might actually start seeing as if people are laughing at you, or when they say something, you misinterpret it because your thinking becomes warped when you are not feeling well. It's not something that people do by choice, voluntarily, but it's something that happens. And the reason why I keep talking about this is so that we, as our brother's keeper, can pay attention. Kune munhu ari kuti my life is over, better ndife, kana kuti kune munhu ari kungointerpreta zvinhu zvisiri izvo, kana kuti kune munhu ari kuwithdraw, so that we can reach out and help them, because they are not in that time able to think clearly. Okay, over to you, Pastor, or Mr. Mtema, Elder. I don't know.
Maybe that could add anything. Hello?
Yes, go on, Pastor.
Yes, ndadakuedza nchiti ndakatombokansela vamwe vanhu vari married vakafirwa nemudikani wavo edza murume kana mukadzi. Vamwe vacho vanototestifya kuti hey, iyi tembere yechipiri inopfuura tembere yekutanga. Vachitaurawo confidentiality kuti yes, Pastor, ndakafirwa hangu, but Mwari akandipa ari nane. Which means wekutanga akaramba mukomana nemusikana paita heartbreak, Mwari anokupawo Mwari nane, handi kupera kweupenyu. Iwewe pray about it, be positive minded, usabva wazvistressa zviya kusvikira papoint yedepression.
Thank you, Pastor. I also want to add, these days we are seeing empowered young women. If a young man is messing up, they walk out with their heads held high, with their shoulders squared. Saka, I hope that there are many girls out there who can square their shoulders and move on and not stand up for rubbish. I'm sorry to say, but yes, kune vamwe vanhu vanofunga kuti marriage yave project vakuda kutongotsikwa semeti. As Pastor is saying, many young women are seeing their value. Many young men are seeing their value. Someone is cheating, someone is playing with their time. They can pick up their pieces and move on. Vachimirira temberi iri nani. Because, you know, nekukura kwakaita nyika, there's always something better, especially if you value yourself, if you preserve your value. The many questions that we've been getting, I had sex with this one. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Dust yourself up, move on. And even when you meet the next person, you are no longer a virgin. I may not be a virgin, but I still decide to uphold myself, to uphold my values, and still refuse until marriage. Don't then start just throwing yourself all over, which you forgot you have a second hand, and people can just mess around with you. Vanhu chaivo vanenge vakaita mistakes, maybe akatoita mwana. We are seeing young women realizing their value in God and moving on, vasingaitwi mess around until they get the right person who can respect them and marry them.
Yeah,
over to you.
Yes, pane vamwe vasikana, even vakomana vane tendency kuti kana after heartbreak vanogona kunoudza zvinhu maybe kune mukomana munyowani oro musikana munyowani zvaaka experience nemukomana wake wekutanga oro musikana zvaakarambirwa this and that. I feel kuti pane zvimwe zvinhu zvinofanira kuudzwa counselor oro pastor than kuudza umwe munhu waonaye murelationship uyo, because zvimwe zvacho zvinogona kunge zviri too sensitive oro zviri emotional zvekuti partner yako may not handle. Zvinoda pastor or counselor whatever, because information iyoyo anogona kuishandisa kukuabusa. Like pano umwe anga achitaura yekuti ndakarara naye saka ndoita sei, especially vasikana vhini vachiita mamistakes ekutaura information iyoyo kune mukomana munyowani waakutamba naye. Mukomana anogona kubuda kuexperience kuti kana wakarara naye ndaurarawo newe oro kukubata zvisizvo, kukuabusa sezvawakangoitwa newokutanga. So imwe stuff yakaitika before, imwe yacho ndeyako wega naJesu. Kana wada kuishare, maybe counselor or whatever, not mukomana.
Oh, thank you so much, Pastor, for those words. Our young ladies, they usually fall into that. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Doc, I want you to, there's a question that is there that I want you to prepare. We are going to give you 2 minutes to prepare as I respond to others. But question handed out to me to prepare for Doc. Yakanzi, I have a friend who got engaged in December, but anogara achichema kuti husband to be doesn't value me, doesn't put effort, doesn't do anything. She's 27 years old, but akutoti kumusiya ndowanepi umwe anozondi engager. She's always thinking of killing herself. So Doc, in 2 minutes, you're going to respond to that. In 2 minutes, Pastor, kana Doc wapedza, I want you to respond to the question, Yakanzi, what's your opinion on long distance relationships based on nyaye depression nema heartbreaks? Nyaye heartbreaks and depression pertaining to long distance relationships. So in 2 minutes, Doc, you respond to that question. Pastor, you respond to that question. As you are preparing, allow me to bring back our thoughts on Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. I learned so many things from the case study ya Joseph na Mary. There's a question on the chat group. Maybe it came to the private chat. Is it possible to have a godly breakup? Is it possible to have a godly breakup? Based on Matthew chapter 1, verses 18, the case study of Joseph and Mary. Yes, it is very, very possible to have a godly breakup, if I might say so. How we are doing how we are ending our relationships and how Joseph decided to end the relationship, it's totally opposite. Today, mukomana whether ndeku Methodist, mu Adventist, mu Anglican, ndeku UFI or ndeku paspemuti, anoisa pa status, oisa pa Facebook, pese panoiswa, anoisa to show the whole world that he has ended this relationship. And guys, they do that for several reasons. Number one, kudangonererwa. Number two, just to put the lady down. Number three, to put himself back on the market. But we find Joseph, he did something that was totally opposite. He gave us an example of how a relationship should be ended if it is supposed to be ended. Remember, Pastor va quote one of his favorite writers, Ellen White, to say it is better to break an engagement than to have a broken marriage. So there's nothing wrong in breaking an engagement if God shows you that this doesn't work. So Joseph, when he realized that his wife-to-be was pregnant, he decided to end the relationship. But unlike how today guys are ending relationships, Joseph, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18, that he decided to put Mary away silently. In other words, Joseph didn't put on Facebook, he didn't put on Twitter, he didn't put it on status, he didn't put it anywhere. The Bible tells us that Joseph decided secretly, I'm just going to respect this young lady. She still needs her integrity. She still needs to be someone's wife tomorrow. And Joseph decided to do what I call a gentleman's move in the case of a heartbreak. He decided to do it privately. May we as guys take a leaf from this case study, that in the event that a heartbreak is inevitable, in the event that a relationship has to be broken, may it be a break without the heart. May we fight for breaks, but not heartbreaks, like what Joseph did. The Bible then tells us, God then came to Joseph with Joseph, this is what transpired. But imagine if Joseph had put it on WhatsApp, imagine if he had put it on Facebook, the way we do our relationship breaking today. Imagine if he had done everything, only an angel to come and no, was he going to put it back on status on WhatsApp, on Facebook? Mary Munwe Church. No, he wasn't going to do that. So may God help us. I'm just responding to the question. Is it possible to end a relationship in a godly way? Yes, very much. Let people sit down, discuss what has transpired, discuss what you think. Let her say out what she thinks. Let's do it in a way that both parties still remain with their integrity. A guy should always remember, a wife of someone tomorrow. A guy should always remember, could I also need to be someone's husband tomorrow? Let's protect. If at one point I truly loved X, I should still respect her. We might have misunderstood for each other. Anything could have happened, but I still need to show that I'm a gentleman. I don't put it on status the way we are doing it. So may God help us to take a leaf from the case study at Joseph, to have a godly breaking of a relationship without the heart part. So I don't think it was a heartbreak. It was just a breaking. The heart was not there. My 2 minutes is up. Doc, I want you to respond to your question, then Pastor, you respond to your question.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, you can continue, Pastor.
Sorry, can I start? I'm worried with my connection.
Okay, sure, you can proceed.
Yes, I just want to say, we don't impose counseling. Yesterday, no, it's left or right or whatever. No advice, then you choose what the best way. So, for distant relationships, animal challenges are, but we can't say no one through my distant whatever relationship. So what is key kune munhu ari relationship mukomana musikana pane critical questions ari key kuti ubvunze relationship akadaro, so that you don't waste your time. I've seen kuti vamwe vanhu mukomana ari kunze kwenyika haana visa rekuti adzoke back, pamwe akaenda zviri illegal, hapana umwe mukana wekuti anogona kuuya this side, and iwo futi again it's very difficult kuti uende ikoko, but still mune muchingonyeperana muchiti no ndichauya 5 years 6 years. Iwewe musikana uri kukura, I don't know kuti mukatarisa madiscussions akadai atinoita, pamwe pacho toita sekunge tiri heavy on the girl child, because sometimes the ground is not level. Mukomana ane 50 years anogona kuroora kamusikana kane 20 years, but musikana wakuma 40 30 zvinonge zvane machallenges. Saka you need to ask critical questions. Tora bepa rako rewhite woisa maadvantage nemadisadvantage nekwaari kwacho kuti anodzoka here within 4 years 5 years 6 years. Pamwe pacho munogona kuona kuti muri kuwesterana time. Just kungoedha pane zvamatauro vamutema, actually kune mamwe countries vanhu vakarambana or paita heartbreak, they don't disclose the reason. Musikana anogona kunge ari wrong or mukomana vanongoti what happened is irretrievable breakdown, zvatopera, hauzivi kuti zvakamira sei, to maintain dignity yemukomana nemusikana, zvova zvapera zvakadaro.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I wish we could introduce it in our African continent. Thank you. Yes, Doc.
Okay, so I'm responding to the question on the young lady who had a heartbreak and is now in a relationship but feels the man is not respectful and she's not sure whether she feels that it's better she dies because if she continues in this relationship, maybe if she quits, if she breaks up with this person, she may not be able to get another person. So in our Shona culture, people, there is a saying that goes, what it means is when someone is courting, they are going to show you their best side. Young lady, the best side that you are seeing of this man is that he is disrespectful and he doesn't seem to care about you. What we also know, the advice that we give to people, or I want you to know that when you are courting someone, whatever telltale signs you are seeing, imagine that they are going to be maybe times 5, they are going to blow out up. Are you going to be able to see that person when that thing magnifies? Because it always, usually it will do. If you see telltale signs that this person is disrespectful, imagine that it's going to be blown up. It's going to continue when this person is no need to be pretending. Okay, so it's important for you to make sure that you can live with this. My question to you is, do you want to continue in a relationship because you are in love? Because marriage should not be a project, an achievement. Marriage should be a culmination of love, of people who respect each other, who have companion, and they're saying, you know, I can't have enough of you when you're out there. Let's be together so that we can continue to share companionship, to care for each other, to respect each other, to commit, and to be together. So if this person already does not respect you when you are at your home, how is it going to be? We should not be married because you know, there are some people who get married because of age, or they get married because they want to be supported, someone to take care of them, or because they don't have an identity, or because the society is saying this. You are going to be in this relationship by yourself, where society is not there. And you should not be married because you want someone to take care of you. You should only marry for love. You should be able to take care of yourself and only stay in a relationship because of love, not because of what the community is going to say, not because of your age. If you are getting into a relationship with someone who is disrespectful right now, what guarantee is there that you are going to be in that relationship? You are going to last for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. The normal relationship, after a few months, a few years, the person is already dating someone who they respect, who they love more than you do. So you need to love yourself first so that you don't throw yourself at someone who does not respect you. What you need to do, what I'm picking from all these discussions, is that people have got unfinished baggages. They are carrying unresolved issues. And one of the common things that we see amongst females, especially, maybe in males also, is that when a relationship doesn't go well, people blame themselves and they feel that they are no longer worthwhile. That's not true. If you go for an interview and you want to get this good job, if there are maybe 102 people who have applied, you can't all get that one position, guys. It's only one person who is going to get it, but it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with all of you. And it doesn't mean that the person who gets the job is better than all of you, okay? What it simply means is that this relationship didn't work, you guys were not compatible, and you are fortunate that you discovered it before you committed so you can move on. I hope this is helpful. Then on the issue of someone talking about killing themselves, let me emphasize, if our friends, our colleagues, our partners are talking about thoughts of killing themselves, suicide ideation, let's take that seriously. Let's not take it as seeking attention. If someone seeks attention enough to swallow a couple of tablets or enough to say, it's better I die, then that person really needs urgent attention. Let's help that person urgently. A lot of suicides that are committed, 1 out of 6 people will leave a suicide note, and almost half of them will have mentioned it and people didn't take it seriously. People are usually quick to brush it off and say, you are just serious, you get somebody else. But that speech is a cry for attention. Let's step back and stop everything else because it's a life and death issue. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc, for highlighting that. The issue of those signs are quite critical, and may we open our eyes to those signs. The person who asked, I hope she or he is still online. Those signs are a serious indication. If anything happens, thank you, Doc. You also highlighted the fact that if in a relationship there are signs, e.g. kuroha or cheating or whatever sign in a relationship, we always need to consider the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario being that whatever we are seeing is going to be multiplied, not divided or eliminated. Many a times people make mistakes in relationships of saying, no, I'll pray about it, no, acha chinja. Whatever that God allows you to see in your courtship period, always assume that things are going to be worse. Never assume that this is going to be eliminated. There are questions that are coming. Our time is, it was extended, but we are left with about 10 minutes before we wrap this up. There's a question which I want to direct to Pastor. Pastor, is still online? Then to Doc. Doc, there's a question which came, which I'm just seeing. It says, how can introverts get assisted in the case of depression? Remember, these are people who find it difficult to share issues. So from one of the followers is saying, how can introverts get assisted in the case of depression? Doc, would you want to quickly attend to this before Pastor also contribute? Introverts with depression.
Okay. People who are introverted usually have a circle of people that they can open up to. So I'm quite sure they can find someone to reach out to, or if we also know that this person is an introvert, we can also try to reach them. Remember, I said that one of the symptoms for depression is withdrawal, not wanting to engage, not wanting to communicate. So reach out to those people. You don't need to force them to disclose what's bothering them, but just make sure that you impress on them that you are there for them. When they feel like reaching out, let them know that you are there for them. But I'm quite sure even the most introverted person has got a few close people that they can talk to.
Thank you so much for that advice. Pastor, are you online? Pastor, are you online? I wanted to ask you an almost a similar question. It's still under temperaments. Dr. Machando has commented on the introverts. We have a question on the extroverts. And this one says, Ndinesha Mariango is a guy. Girls vanomurambira kuti is always happy and think when he asks them out, he's not serious because most times he's always laughing and they think he's not serious. So does he have to change his character? So this one is this is a sanguine, I guess. The question is saying, I have a sanguine friend and Van Varukumuramba and probably is now getting depressed. Is there something that can be done on him? If Pastor is not online, Doc, please respond.
I'm just curious to know how this friend, so if he's got these characteristics that people are not happy with, sometimes it's a little difficult to just answer off the cuff, because how do we know that that's what people are not happy with? Maybe it could be something else, or maybe this person could be reaching out for all the wrong people. So maybe he needs to, we need really to figure out whether this is all about this person. Is it just his outgoing nature? And you know what? We also need to work on ourselves. if, for example, this person didn't dress well, or maybe he doesn't bath regularly, and and people are not happy with that, what would you do? So maybe he needs to see what part of that he can work around. But we know
so
that
on that, Doc, on that, the person just texted now, and they tell him that, so they are telling him that you are not serious at all.
Hello?
So we need to unpack what serious means. Is it because he talks too much, or there is something that they are saying? You need to read in between lines. What does it mean when someone says you are not serious? Because it's different from you talk too much.
Thank you. Pastor, I'm sure you're now online. The question was on a sanguine. There's a sanguine who's getting depressed because ladies are saying you're not serious. So each time he proposes, but negatives because of his personality.
Yeah, I think it may actually in non-verbal, communication, or maybe chinoitika marelationships ndechekuti sometimes vasikana or vakomana vanogona kupa reason isiri yechokwadi, pamwe vanogona kutsvaga something chiri polite kuti vataurire mukomana, yet pane zvimwe zviri serious zvavari kumurambira.
Oh, thank you for that, Pastor. Thank you for that.
So yekutanga I wanted to say kuti uyu anofanira kungoencouragwa kuti atsvage someone to confide to. Or one thing that I wanted to say, David says, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Besides the help from outside, our mind is so powerful. If you tell yourself kuti nothing to follow a diet, it was timidira, you follow diet iyo yawazuudza. If you want to help yourself to redeem or maybe therapy, whatever, tisati tatomboenda kuno umwe munhu ari outside, mind yedu iri so powerful. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yeah, very much clear.
Mind yedu iri so powerful kuzudza kuti Mwari ka pass through a heartbreak, inini Mwari ka ndaakuda kutoti ndizvirape inini, help yakutobva kwandiri. Mind on its own inogona kuita remedy on its own.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for that. We are running out of time. We are going to wrap, but before we wrap up, Pastor, I need you to have your last words. But before that, Doc, there's a question which says, how can one with bipolar at the same time OCD be helped when they are having depression? If you can quickly attend to that.
So bipolar and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So these are real mental health conditions, like pathologies, which bipolar in particular has got a lot of chemical imbalances, like your serotonin and your adrenaline, and you need to have mood stabilizers that can make sure that they are stabilizing the ups. So bipolar, for those who may not know, is a mood disorder that is characterized by excessive happiness or excessive, a person gets into what we call a manic phase, where they are extreme or they become excessively sad. So that those moods, not just mood swings, it's not as simple as mood swings. It's actually a serious condition. So it has to be stabilized by mood stabilizers, medication that you need to get. So it will take care of the depressive mode. So you'll be able to stay within a certain range and not oscillate between extreme ends of the mood. I don't know if that's helpful.
Thank you so much. I think that was loud and clear. Because of our time, I am going to ask Pastor to give us your last words pertaining to heartbreaks and depression, and if there's any other issue raised that you just want to iron out in a minute or two, then right. Doc, you also do the same.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to say maybe things are very tough, are very difficult here in Harare. Ukaramba uri muHarare, you'll be stressed to death. Ukangoita move on, vakuru vanoti chitsva chiri murutsoka. Kungoita move on woenda kwaMutare uri kuChinhoi, unotoona maopportunities akawanda. Kunokinga kune mvura, kuri kunaya zviri nane, this and that. There are many times when my neighbors edu patakamboita drought, mvura yanga iriko kuZambia and the like. So kana zvandinongotsanangura izvi munogona kungozvishandisa kuzoapply marelationship. Nyangwe zvikaoma sei, kungomove across, munotoona kuti zvinhu zviri right, life iri kufamba zvakanaka. Sometimes motoregreta. Friends angu akawanda ndotombojoka navo vachiti, pastor, you know what, dai paipai minamato yangu imwe yacho yakapindurwa, ndine stress up to now. I'm happy kuti mukomana waya akandiramba. I'm happy kuti musikana waya akandiramba. Ndakazoona zviri nane. Zvinonzi Adam paakarasikirwa naAbel akachema. But munyori wandofara achitsanangura anomuti Mwari akamupa umwe mwana aiteerera kutopfuura Abel ainzi Sethi. Ende Sethi ndosekuru vaJesu. Nyangwe zvikaoma ukarasikirwa naAbel, don't worry, Sethi is coming. So handi kuguma kweupenyu, keep praying, push and press. Sometimes zvimwe zvakapfuura, forget the past and move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pastor. That was loud and clear. Doc, any last words on depression, heartbreaks, and another issue raised?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's really been nice engaging with young people. After working with a lot of couples, with a lot of individuals who are struggling through relationships, I would like to urge our young people to not rush into marriage to begin with, to open their eyes wide, twice as much while you are courting, and interrogate everything, every small thing. Because when you get in there, when you get into a relationship, there is no turning back. And I also want to urge you to invest in yourself. The young people that I see now who can walk away from relationships or breakups proudly, still holding themselves in high esteem, are young people who have invested themselves, who do not have much to lose except the love, which is no longer there anyway. So invest in yourself so that you only get in a relationship for love and you get involved with someone who you can live with for a very long time. One of the best investments is to have a strong relationship with God, because having a strong relationship with God, it's like having the answer sheet for an exam, because you can always go and ask God whether this relationship is going to work or not, and he reveals to you. When he does, let it not be like the end of the world, because remember, you were courting, you were trying. If it's not working, thank God, dust yourself up and move on. And we find that in God, you have the best esteem. I call it God esteem, because with God, you will acknowledge that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And like Joseph, you know that everything that you touch turns into gold. So if a person ditches you for somebody else, you feel sorry for them, because you know what they have lost, because you value yourself and you've actually invested in yourself. So you are actually valuable, and you've got God esteem, knowing that God has plans to prosper you and never to harm you. So trusting in him is one of the best things that you can do, because if you build that house on the foundation that God has laid, God is the rock, you know that your relationship is going to stand. A lot of people get married, but unfortunately, most of those relationships are short-lived. So don't be swayed by maybe now I'm 31, I'm 37. There are some people who are walking out of relationships because they realize that they were involved with the wrong person, and they would rather delay a few more years and get into a relationship that lasts than to just throw yourself into a relationship for statistics. So my closing words is build on your God esteem, build your relationship with God, plans future that is successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much, Doc. In closing, I also wanted to say, if you decide to end a relationship, pray about it, sit down with her, sit down with him, and be a Joseph to do it privately so that both parties still remain with their integrity. And if you are the one who's on the receiving end, accept that it has happened. Romans 8:28 tells us that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. May God help us. Once again, thank you, Pastor, and thank you, Doc. And thank you, Elder Machando, who's now off. He had challenges with his gadgets. I'm going to ask Pastor to pray for us. I see a question which is saying, do we have part 2? Yes, we will receive communication. We are definitely going to have more sessions. So just keep your eyes open. I'm going to ask Pastor to pray for us as we close.
Let us pray. Our dear God, we want to thank you so much for the day. We thank you for the blessings that we have received. We want to thank you for all these deliberations. May you bless our young people. Some are from Zimbabwe, some are from outside. They are facing different challenges. We pray and hope that you meet them at their point of need. We thank you for everything. For those who have experienced heartbreak, depression, we present them in your name, in your hands. Again, bless them. We know that every challenge, every suffering produces perseverance, character, hope, and the hope does not disappoint us. We thank you for everyone who participated and those who were watching this program. May you bless them abundantly, even the organizers. We thank you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Doc, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in. May God bless you. We wish you well in your relationships. Let us know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. God speaks to us when he gives us blessings, but when we don't hear, sometimes he removes the blessings so that we hear him. So may we take everything positively. May God bless you. We meet once again. Thank you.